There are some massive movements going on in the market this morning, and there are also some critical events coming up this week. We need to talk about it, and just so you know that very soon it's gonna be May. All right, so I don't make too many boy band references out there, but I just couldn't help myself on that one, especially because on May 1st, we get the FOMC meeting conclusion and their interest rate decision, which we expect no cuts at all to take place. But what Jerome Powell has to say is definitely going to impact what we see in the markets. And it's also worthwhile to point out that earlier that day, on Wednesday, May 1st, we have JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. That's also going to be critical as a catalyst to the market. So I'm going to be watching for that on Wednesday. That's at 10 a.m. and then at 2 p.m. is the interest rate decision. And then Jerome Powell speaks at 2:30. So that's also something we want to pay attention to. I'm going to talk about SPY and QQQ, what we need to be looking for there. SoFi, I'll give an update on because they have released their earnings. I'll give a little bit of commentary there as well. Tesla, big, huge news. That's one of our massive movers that we have besides SoFi in the pre-market hours this morning. Absolutely worth paying attention to. Also touch base with Enphase and Bitcoin, and then also Nvidia. I'm going to keep tabs on that as well. So let me pop this up here for you. We'll start with SPY, falling short of the 50-day. We had a candle wick on Friday at the top on this 20-period simple moving average from the Bollinger Bands that you see here. So getting up above that 50 is going to be absolutely critical. It would be nice even to get up above the 20 that we'd have for that faster moving average. So we have, it's possible that leading up to Wednesday that we see just messing around that 50-day there, waiting on what Jerome Powell has to say, waiting on the JOLTS job openings, all that stuff. I think Wednesday is going to be that huge and critical day in the markets. If we go over to the Qs, we can see we're also up a little bit in the pre-market hours, possibly opening up above the 50 EMA that we have here, but we are still below the 50 SMA. Right at around 436.69 is looks like what it says from Friday. So 436, 437. Whenever we open up today, we'll see where that is and watch where that closes at the end of the day today. But being up above that 50 is going to be bullish for us. Getting rejected off it could be a very bearish sign for us. So we need to be watchful for that to see what happens with the markets. And of course, we have Amazon earnings. Well, we want to hear commentary on Amazon Web Services. Also want to hear what the consumer's doing with the Amazon orders that they have to see if that gives us some sort of indicator on what the consumer's been up to and to see if they're experiencing any weakness there, because that's going to tell us more about the state of the economy. And then we also have Apple earnings coming up, by the way, on Thursday. That's going to be a massive market indicator as well. Soft earnings from Amazon and Apple could be things to negatively influence the market, so we're going to be watching those earnings. SoFi up in the pre-market hours, up currently above the 50 and the 200-day, could be entering bullish territory. I have some call options out for their earnings, which is always a coin flip. We're in bullish territory for the RSI. Now, mind you, those call options so far working out pretty well for SoFi. Hopefully, we hit that $9 mark per share. $9 plus, I would take it. But so far, that's darn good in the pre-market hours. We have increased guidance for all of 2024. We had some decent results as well for the Q1 earnings for SoFi. And then one thing that we want to be watchful of for SoFi is the growth rate of the company. And one thing that I would say is a victory, even though we have slowing growth rates that we see in Q1, is that we're under pretty darn tight financial conditions. And so for SoFi being that fintech space, still being able to keep up with generally the numbers that they had leading up to this point, I think that is actually a very strong side of a business model for them that is proving itself over time. So that's my commentary for SoFi for their earnings. We'll see where that goes today. Cash in on those call options today. And I do have a put option as well from the strangle position that I took initially. That one, this is going to be pretty worthless probably at this point. Might be worth a few dollars. I could always hold on to it at this point in time for very low risk of a couple of bucks to see if the price would come back down. So we'll see what happens as the market opens for SoFi. Bitcoin still struggling. And what we're seeing right now is the price on Bitcoin at about 62,000. We want to be watching to see if we are able to break this low at 60,000. If we are, we could sell off considerably. We got rejected off the 50-day. This thing could push down further. If it does, we got room all the way down to 51,480. And then there's even more room down below that, down to 44. Got to be watchful for that. At 200 days is going to be critical, right around that $50,000 mark. So that's if we push down lower on Bitcoin. If we find support here at about 60,000, we could be heading back up. We got to watch for that retest of the 50-day. Enphase I pointed this out in my Discord last week that every time, and also in my live stream with Stockmo, if you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out, that as we hit this lower trend line that we have going on right here, let me get rid of this one so we can see the longer term trend line support that we have right here. This is one that every time that we've come down to it, we went cross down through it over the biggest sell-off. You can see a lot of that selling volume there, but we keep on getting volume spikes and getting pushed back up off this support. And so we've seen that happen the last 4 times that we've gotten down to that level. So this could be a signal that under current market conditions that the bottom's in. Moving on to Tesla. Tesla, big news this morning for full self-driving is tentatively approved in China is the news that's coming out. So you want to be checking that out and reading about that and keeping up with what's going on for it. This could be absolutely huge for filling out their top and their bottom lines, currently trading up over $100, $180 per share in the pre-market hours, which puts us up above the 50-day, which could send us into a bullish reversal period for Tesla. Now, mind you, under the current macro conditions, I think it's going to be a challenging thing to really put in a lot of strong price action. And something else I pointed out over in the Discord, and also I pointed this out in the live stream of Stockmo yesterday, this monthly chart that we have, check out the trend line that we've now confirmed as of this most recent low point in the month of April, that we had a very strong rejection off that support, heading back up to this territory. So we have a big old consolidation pattern going all the way back to March of 2020, the beginning of the pandemic, and shaping up ever since then, being confirmed in April. So this is an indicator of a long-term trend, a long-term consolidation pattern. We're down below this 50-period moving average that we have. And so this is something currently, according to the monthly chart, bearish territory. However, we can see about where we can expect that next major resistance to come in. Should we be able to break back up over $200 per share? We're probably going to be limited by this descending trend line that we have right here that's keeping us in that low 2s before we start to head back down. If we're able to cross over that, that could be a big breakout to the upside. If we break down below it, that could be a big break to the downside. I think this monthly chart is critical for Tesla and the full self-driving news that we got, really pushing things up in the pre-market hours this morning. It could be the thing that allows us to travel up to that $200 mark. That's assuming that the market is able to hold out and that we get good news from Powell and the JOLTS report on Wednesday of this week. And then also Amazon and Apple with their earnings, hopefully helping us out too. All right, touch on Nvidia in the pre-market hours just below where it closed last week. So not really moving too much at this point in time. We are up above the 50. If we're able to open up above the 50 and get that full candle close above the 50, that could be a good sign for us, especially if we're able to take on the $900 mark for Nvidia. That could be further upside. I'm going to hold tight on my prediction for $1,000 for Nvidia price right around Nvidia earnings, which is May 22nd. We got to be watchful for that. So we're under a month out until that takes place, just about 3 or 4 weeks right in between that to see what happens with Nvidia earnings between now and then, and their stock price that also goes along with it. Further shout outs from from Amazon is going to be huge for us. We got Microsoft and Google, and then also Tesla shouting them out directly in their earnings calls. And I expect a further build out over time, that this AI race is far from over. And I will say, even the software side, even though that could be mixed as far as that goes, there's really no mixing on Nvidia stock itself right now. That right now, for those big companies to really go for that winner take most sort of position for AI that they're going for, I think that is going to translate into a lot of top and bottom line revenue and profit for Nvidia over the coming quarters that we have throughout 2024 and into 2025. So I remain bullish on it. I'm going to keep my $1,000 stock price prediction. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see all of my buys and sells, check out the link down in the description for the Patreon. Come on over to the Discord, talk with me and my community members to see the buys and sells that I post over there as well. And then also, if you want access to a technical analysis trading course, you should check out that link down in the description as well to take your trading game to the next level. As always, guys, I really do appreciate it. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.